We are navigating the waters into the French Revolution of 1789. Before you continue, I emphasize the kasoma faruq of Uganda idea where we say no one is coming. No one is what? Coming. The government is busy, your family is busy, even your friends are what? Busy. So it's upon you to liberate yourself. So we are saying the French Revolution of 1789 was inevitable. So we are saying today the French Revolution of 1789 was when the masses of the middle class, peasants, disgruntled nobility rose up against the despotic Bourbon monarchy of King Louis the 16th. The despotic system of government was replaced by the revolutionary and republican systems. By 1789, the condition of things in the French society continued to worsen. And so the masses had no option except to stage a what? A revolution. So the year 1789 was not a normal year. Because in this year, people staged a what? A revolution. So we need to navigate into the deep waters. What were the causes of the French Revolution? In other words, what made the French Revolution of 1789 inevitable? Number one, the despotic system of government of the Bourbon monarchy. So we are saying the Bourbon monarchy, which was led by King Louis the 16th, who came to power in 1774, when he was 20 years, when he took political power, he said, "It is as if the heaven is going to fall on me today." A man feared the responsibility. So we are saying the despotic system of the Bourbon monarchy annoyed the French masses. That's why they rose up and staged a revolution. We are saying today the peasants were 23 millions, the nobles and the clergy were over 2 millions. So the majority peasants rose up, and this made the French Revolution of 1789 inevitable. The king was so despotic, he said the thing is illegal because I wish it. That's why people rose up against him. Another one, the unfair social classification. Altogether, we are saying today the unfair social class stratification, where the French were divided into classes: nobles, clergy, and peasants. We are saying today the nobles and the clergy were 2 millions, were celebrating life. The peasants were over 23 millions, were struggling. So it was because of this that the peasants who didn't have land, who were not considered in key positions of the government, made them to rise up against the Bourbon monarchy. And this made the French Revolution of 1789 inevitable. Then the huge influence of the system of government of England and France. We are saying today the system of government of England influenced the French to stage a revolution. Because in England, they had a monarchy, but for them they had a constitutional monarchy. So it is this that made the masses to rise up and stage a revolution. Because they were saying, how comes that in England they have a monarchy, but for them they have a constitution. So the French staged a revolution because also they wanted a system which was working according to the to the constitution. You remember by this time France didn't have a functional constitution. Another one, the example of the successful American War of Independence, 1776 to 1783. We are seeing the year 1776. The Americans staged their war of independence against the British altogether. And they were successful. So we are seeing by this time When the Americans succeeded, it influenced the French to rise up and stage what? A revolution. They were saying, as the Americans succeeded, even us we are going to do what? To succeed. They were meant to rise up. So by this time, we are saying the example of the successful American War of Independence made the French Revolution of 1789 inevitable. Then the influence of the political philosophers, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Voltaire, Montesquieu. Voltaire was a restless writer. He could write even in times of sleep. Jean-Jacques Rousseau wrote and said, men are born free, but everywhere they are in chains. So by this time, the words of the philosophers influenced the French to rise up and stage a what? A revolution. They were influenced by the words of philosophers. Let me tell you, by the time the revolution took place, the philosophers were already dead, but their writings influenced the masses, and they had to stage a what? A revolution. Then the weakness in the character of King Louis XVI. We are saying today, King Louis XVI had a weakness in his what? Character. He was very weak. He was a kind of a king who could cry in heated debates. At a time when the debates were so hot, he used to cry in the meeting. So by this time the masses rose up. They could not accept to be under such a what? A leader. He was easily influenced by the wife, Marie Antoinette, a woman who used her beauty to influence government policies. I can tell you, the weakness in the character of King Louis XVI made the masses to rise up, and they had to stage a revolution by 1789. I can tell you, he was easily driven by the words of Marie Antoinette. You remember when two prominent economists were hired, neck and taggled, to solve the hard economic issues in France. By this time, they advised the king to decrease on expenditure and what? In the palace. What happened? By this time, the king went and told Marie Antoinette what the economists were telling him, and by this time, Marie told the king to dismiss neck and what? Taggle. The lead economists were dismissed. I can tell you by this time, Mirabeau had this to say. He said, I'm seeing death near me. If the only man who can rectify the equation have been dismissed, I'm dying today. So we are saying the weakness in the character of King Louis XVI made the French Revolution of 1789 inevitable. Then the character of Queen Marie Antoinette. At a time when the price of bread was very high, peasants wanted a decrease in the price of bread. They told Marie Antoinette want decrease in the price of bread. Marie told them, if bread is expensive, try cakes. I can tell you, by this time, even those who are not willing to join the struggle, they had to join the what? The struggle. So we are saying the character of Queen Marie Antoinette annoyed the people in the French society. That's why they staged a what? A revolution. She was extravagant. She used to buy 4 pairs of shoes every week. She had over 500 maids. These were paid using government what? Money. So it is this that made the masses to rise up, and they had to stage a revolution. Then the catastrophic effect of the Anglo-French Free Trade Treaty of 1786, at a time when France had issues. King Louis XVI allowed the British goods to come in France without paying what? Taxes. And by this time, this annoyed the French traders, because it meant that the British goods were cheaper than the French what? Goods. Because the British are not paying taxes, but the French were paying what? Taxes. So it is this that annoyed the French traders. What they did, they had to rise up against the king, And this made the French Revolution of 1789 to be inevitable. Then bad weather of 1788 to 1789. Let me tell you, people planted their crops, but the crops did not come out well. The bad weather. They expected great harvest, but they didn't get great harvest. They had nothing to eat. They had to tell the king to solve their problems, but the king was not willing to do this. So it is this that made the French Revolution of 1789 to be what? Inevitable, because the king failed to solve people's problems. Then the increasing grievances of the French army. Let me tell you, the French army had so many grievances. Poor pay, poor accommodation. So it is this that made the army to side on the side of the what? Of the people. The army which was meant to be on the side of the king had to side on the side of the what? Of the people. And this made the French Revolution of 1789 to be what? Inevitable. Because when the army joined the revolution, even those who are not willing to join the revolution, they had to join the what? The revolution. Then the role of the French encyclopedias, like the Lamberti. We are saying today, encyclopedias criticize the ancient regimes. Their books were read by so many what? People. By this time, people were willing to rise up against the king because they were influenced by the French encyclopedias. People who valued knowledge more than any other thing. Their ideas were highly respected. That's why the masses in France had to rise up and stage a what? A revolution. The year 1789 was not a normal year. Because in this year, people staged a what? A revolution. Then the convening and mishandling of the Estates General Meeting in May 1789. Let me tell you, the parliament in France had last sat in 1614. 175 years without the parliament what? Sitting. At a time when France had so many problems. Finally, the king called the Estates General Meeting to solve problems. The nobles had grievances because the nobles were divided into two. Lower nobility and higher what? Nobility. The clergy had grievances, but the main group with the grievances, they were the what? The peasants. By this time, the king called the Estates General Meeting to solve the grievances. The nobles had grievances. The clergy had grievances. But the main group with the grievances were the what? Were the peasants. Finally, the peasants did not have land. And by this time, the nobles, clergy and the peasants disagreed. Whereby this time they disagreed on the seating arrangement. When they disagreed, by this time, the king told the peasants that you go back, you'll come back tomorrow. Because we are going to paint the building where the meeting is going to take place. I can tell you this was a small reason. It could not convince even a baby. By this time, the peasants went and sat in the tennis court. The king sent a representative to tell the peasants that you go back, you'll come back tomorrow. By this time, the peasants under a calm nobleman, a man who had sided with the noble Mirabeau, had to tell the representative of the king, we are not going to move from here, except bayonet will make us to move from here. Bayonet meant a sword. By this time, a revolution had started altogether. Because they did not agree. So the mishandling of the Estates General Meeting made the French Revolution of 1789 inevitable. By this time, they started marching to Versailles, demanding for the decrease in the price of what? Bread. Altogether. They stormed the Bastille what? Prison. By this time, a revolution was what? inevitable. So we are saying the year 1789 was